Good evening and welcome to the Bitter Knitters podcast. It is Wednesday, February 20th, 2019.
Mhm.
We are the Bitter Knitters. My name is Jacqueline. Arthur's here. Or sorry,
Bonjour.
Arthur is not here. Arthur's stuck in traffic. That's how I'm used to saying Arthur's here and Ryan's not here. Arthur's stuck in traffic and Ryan is here.
I'm here, you bitch. Fuck.
I didn't even have time to think of a clever reason as to why Arthur wasn't
First
here.
of all, I just want to
Now
say to
you're
the
dickhead.
public, Jacqueline is a fake ass bitch. Okay, number one. Number two, she's a really fake ass bitch, and she got her titties done all the way in Tijuana. Her nipples are 3 different colors, so don't even fucking play with me,
True.
bitch.
It's true. I don't deny it. I mean, if it's good enough for Nicki Minaj, it's good enough for me, right?
Don't get me started on the whole Nicki Minaj, Cardi B. I don't want to hear anything about
Can I
these
just
two
say that?
girls.
I have to just say this because I've done a really good job in my life of avoiding Nicki Minaj and like trashy people like that. So we went to the karaoke club with my daughter for her birthday,
Mhm.
and one of the songs that the kids sang was Anaconda. And I just like stared at this video and I was just like, it's not for me.
Well,
And I'm
can I
not a
just
prude by any shape or form. I just
Yes.
don't find her interesting or even like, I mean, yeah, you can make your
You
booty
and I
fail.
are some of the most open-minded people when it comes to sex, when it comes to orientation, when it comes
Yeah, embracing your sexuality. I have no
Yeah.
problem if she wants to
I
screw
have
every single guy.
no issue. But Nicki Minaj is at that level for me. And because you brought this up, I'll kind of talk about it a little bit. Nicki Minaj just encompasses for me that those people that come to the state of New York and they visit you, especially New York City. Forget the state of New York City, the 5 boroughs, the real nitty gritty of New York, right? What we're famous for.
Right.
Nicki Minaj is one of those people that really represents what you hate about New York. It's
The
these
worst.
girls who are no,
Yeah.
and there is truth behind this, and there's a psychological thing about this because I've realized this. I was in, as you are aware, because you've gotten all the messages. I was away for class for 2 weeks,
Yeah.
and uh, I'll never forget one of the girls that I was sitting in class with. Beautiful, beautiful girl, gorgeous. She really was. She was super gorgeous, and I'll never forget. Unbeknownst to a lot of them, I already had my license, and I was just sitting there and everybody's kind of like, who the fuck is this, beautiful woman sitting next to me? And the attitude really kind of was this until the instructor was like, oh, Ryan, why are you here? I'm introducing myself. I got up. I'm like, oh, got my licenses, blah, 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 blah. There's this sense of jealousy. And this is what Nicki Minaj represents to me, right? A sense of jealousy of I am entitled to something because I've been here before.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I hate her because of the way this whole Cardi B, Nicki Minaj thing is really kind of blowing out of proportion. You should be happy that for the first time in history, a woman finally won rap album of the year.
Yeah.
Because it is an unknown.
It's monumental, but it just makes me sad that it wasn't somebody like Queen Latifah or even like,
Lil' Kim.
It makes me sad that I don't get Cardi B either. I mean, I wish her success, I guess. I don't wish ill on her, but I don't get her. I don't.
Her album, especially the breakup songs in her album, really is the songs of my life. I swear on my life, as much as she sounds uneducated, as much as she sounds like she really is a chicken head from the Bronx. No offense, Cardi, I love you. She tells it like it is. Where Nicki Minaj is like, I'm the queen. Look at my ass. Look at my titties. Like, no.
No, you know what? The kids also sang a song I'd never heard of before, and I frankly never want to hear again. And I mean, like I said, I mean, I grew up in the 90s. We laughed at the song Short Dick Man. Remember that song?
No, I don't.
It's basically like the girl saying, I don't want no short dick man. No, it's weenie weenie, short.
Is it a parody of Scrub?
I don't think so. I think it might have been before Scrubs.
Okay.
But you know, like that was like a, you know, a song that we laughed and it was funny. This song, let me tell you, this song was like the least classless, like class song. I mean, Ryan, you probably love this song, Deep Throat by Cupcake.
No, I've never heard of this song.
Oh, it's so gross. Like, I mean, it's just beyond. Like, she's talking about like gargling.
First of all,
I mean? She's like, Daddy better choke me.
I'm gonna admit to my.
I'm like, wow, I guess I'm gonna tag your mom in that post, and I'm gonna tag your mom.
I'm gonna admit something on air that Jacqueline is gonna make you gasp and gag and laugh hysterically. I've never admitted this before, but I'm forced to have to do this because you just put me in the millennial category, okay, bitch? I am turning on the cusp of 30 this year.
Oh my gosh.
I have not listened to any new songs. I thought that Sam Smith's album was so new that I was bumping it. And it was from 2017 because I am a loser, number one.
Don't worry, I like just now discovering Niall Horan's album, which was from last year. So,
oh my God, no! You want to laugh even better. I was listening to this song. I think her name is Fletcher or something. It's called Undrunk or whatever it was, or even Pink's album, the one with What About Us.
Yeah.
And I'm like on the Long Island Railroad while I'm on my way to class, bumping it up. My hair is flinging. Come to find out, I'm looking at the details of the album. It's from 2016, 2017. I'm like, oh my God, where the hell have I been?
Like me, I don't listen to the radio.
Me too.
Like I don't listen to current radio stations. I listen to like Sirius. So I'm listening to like my 70s, 80s, 90s and Pop 2K. Yeah. Those stations. And then, you know, when I do listen to actual music, I just flick. And if I hear a song I like, I stop. And if I don't hear anything I like, I just keep flicking until I find something.
Yeah, you're a flicker like me.
And I made Marley like me. Marley's in the car. She's the DJ. She finds all the songs.
I'm a what do you call that? I'm an Apple Radio member. I don't know if that's a word or a term. And I just listen to the artists that I like is typically there. It's kind of like Spotify or Pandora. They'll just play a bunch of people related to the artist. And I skip. And a lot of the times I listen to my divas, the three saints, Mariah, Whitney, and Celine. And then I go all the way to I'm not a big fan of the 80s, as you're aware. And I listen to the 70s, I listen to the 60s, really rarely the 50s. And then I'll listen to my
I'll go down to the 60s and 50s occasionally, but
And then opera, of course, Maria Callas, Joan Sutherland. That's what I listen to. So it shocks me sometimes when people peg me, especially my friend Josie, who says to me, "Oh my God, you're such an old person." I'm like, "Bitch, we're the same age." And she's like, "Yeah, but you don't know these songs." And I say to her, I don't have the capacity to listen to the same thing over and over. All the artists nowadays that come out, they're all interchangeable. They are
like frankly, I don't want to listen to like all these little, you know, every rapper's like little somebody
or whatever. Yeah.
Exactly. And I don't want to listen to like, you know, like Camila Cabello and Baby Rexha and Halsey. And I'm sure they're nice. Like I watched Halsey on Saturday Night Live. She seemed great. Her songs were okay, but I would never go out of my way to listen to them, you know?
If you wear a colored wig, if you put on too much highlighter, if your lips have that matte overfilled look, I will not listen to your music. I'm sorry, because my type of music really kind of lies between, again, like the Celines, the Mariahs, the what do you call that? The Whitneys, and I'm not saying that's necessarily real music, but that's the music that I'm into.
That's what you like. Yeah, that's what you like. I want to hear a story. I think that's why I kind of, since I found the new Niall Horan, it's not new, Niall Horan album, he's a singer-songwriter, which I like that kind of music, you know, play guitar and sing a song. I like that kind of music. I don't need to hear all this crazy,
I'm not even a big
eating ass, and you know, it's not for me.
I'm not even a big fan of indie, but like I've started to really get into like these indie-ish artists.
I listen to songs there, but I'm usually not like hardcore into like a whole band type of thing.
I'm just, it's a very different time. And again, I'm talking about this as if I was a kid of the 80s. I was a kid of the 90s, right? I was born right literally in 1990.
I guess that's when the vacuum of suck really started in music, though. Like there was a lot of good 90s bands. I'm not saying that there wasn't, but I feel like that's when manufacturing of artists, and not to say that artists haven't been manufactured since the beginning of time, they have, but I really feel like at least there was some substance in a lot of people, and in 90s it
Well,
seemed like
Nirvana was so successful because it was relatable, right?
yeah.
Going into, of course, the topic that I wanted to discuss on the air, Nirvana was a great band because because Kurt Cobain was a relatable character, and then there was that
really who liked. I was never a Nirvana fan, but people who loved Kurt Cobain and Nirvana was because he was saying what they felt.
Yeah, well, a lot of the times for me in music, artists just don't say what you need them to say. Right. A lot of the times I feel like, especially in the 90s, now this is the whole era of Christina and Britney, Mandy, Jessica. Mandy Moore was a singer for people who didn't know, because we're that old. The 90s, that was kind of like the trashy pop music that we had, right? Even though they were really like cute little girls.
Skinky Blondes really came out. Well, you know, remember our friend Justin used to always say IBW, which was interchangeable blonde whore.
Blonde whore.
It really was like that kind of decade for that. I mean, Willa Ford, remember her?
Yes, Willa Ford, who was in Coyote Ugly.
Yeah.
She was the Coyote Ugly girl. Was that Willa Ford?
Oh,
no, that's Piper
Paraboo.
Paraboo, yeah, Parabo, whatever her name is.
Whatever her name is, I don't freaking
Willa
know.
Ford is that girl that kind of she
said that Nick Carter molested her. Remember?
What? Nick Carter was Oh no, I'm thinking of Aaron Carter. Wait, who's Nick Carter? Is it the younger brother?
No, the older one that was actually in Backstreet Boys.
Okay, no, he's disgusting.
Anyway, so what did you want to say? Let's get into it.
Not to name names, I'm going to be very careful about this because these names are very interchangeable. One of my coworkers recently had a death in her family, and he's a veteran. He died of an OD.
Okay.
And I just want to say this because we were talking about this last year, summertime, when that bus rudely interrupted me as you were introducing me. Right. We really have to start to take care of our vets because there is still this stigma that when they get back, right? And this is really for everybody who's running. There's so many of them running for 2020 in their campaigns. We have to talk about mental health. We have to talk about it as if there is no stigma to it, that you should not be able to be, or that you should not really be afraid of going into your designated place and discussing what your problems are. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
I just want to shock you at how young this kid was. This kid was 24.
Wow.
He was younger. He was significantly younger than I am. Significantly younger than I am. And it shocked me and it hit me because just a week ago, my coworker and I were discussing him on the phone. And then to hear this, I was like, what? Like, but it's impossible. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And again, it goes back to that whole thing of why do we feel the need to stigmatize, ostracize, and isolate people with mental health issues?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We have a president who has openly mocked a handy-capable journalist.
Yeah.
And if you don't have that kind of mental strength to be able to handle that, you might just as well hang yourself.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I think that's a real problem with I mean, I can't really say just America, because Canada, we're letting our veterans. I mean, it's like if you don't have a physical disability or injury from the war, what's the injury? And I know they keep talking about PTSD and they're trying to help people, but it's like, it's not enough. And I think a lot of it is tied into, and I hate to use this term because I feel like it's so overdone, but that toxic masculinity where guys don't talk about their feelings. Do you know what I mean? Like a real man doesn't cry. A real man keeps it inside, swallow it down, shake it off, get over
like what
it.
I was doing last night.
Yeah, but I feel like a lot of that goes a long way because it's like, so many guys go through this, but they're they can't share it because they're told that if they do it, they're less than a man. They're weak.
Because if
you're a sissy.
Because if you are like me, I'm 29. My parents are in their 60s. Yeah, in their 60s. I grew up with parents who um, basically are kind of like baby boomers, right?
Yeah.
And they grew up in a very different era. So for
Yeah.
them, it's hide the family shame. You
Yeah.
don't discuss, you don't talk about it.
My family's the exact same way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like, you didn't tell anybody what was going on in our home.
Yeah.
Never.
No, I'm not saying go ahead and speak to every Tom, Dick, and Harry and mention to them everything that's going on in your life. That's not my point. Go to a professional, psychiatrist, psychologist, whomever, a trained person, of course. But maybe because my parents are also kind of somewhat open-minded, it was a good thing that you attended therapy because you needed it.
Yeah.
But again, there have been many times in my life, at least in the past couple of years, where I was on the brink. You know this. You and I have private conversations. You wake up and you see the same four walls every day, right? I think I've used this analogy before. You see the same four walls every day. You feel like you have cabin fever and you're stuck there, and you are overly analyzing every single aspect and tidbit about what's going on in your life at that moment.
Yeah.
And you can't outlive it. Seek help. Like if that's the best
if
thing.
You've seen something or suffered something incredibly traumatic. Can you imagine how hard that would be to take your mind off of that? Like people say, oh, just forget about it and think about other things for now. Easier said than done.
Well, it's also just like, okay, so I took a test, and I passed. Thank God. Yay. Congrats to me.
Positive, yes. Congratulations.
You fucking bitch. I passed the test. It was really, really well. But the whole time for the past 2 days, I had known I was taking the test the day I started class. So for 2 weeks, and then the last 48 hours from Sunday going into Tuesday, because I took my test yesterday, I was a mess. I was a wreck.
Yes.
Finally, my body gave out on Monday night. Got home from work because I didn't take the day off. Got home from work and I crashed for 13 and a half hours. I slept. Woke up. It was 4:30. I was like, oh my God, I didn't get to study, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Sat in the test. You're going to laugh at me. Oh my God, Jacqueline, I hate you because I know you. You're going to laugh at me. Got on the Long Island Railroad. On my way to the exam, I said, I'm not going to study. That's it. I'm going to fail. Fuck everything. I can't believe this is happening to me. And then blah, 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 blah. And then I kept saying, God, if I pass this exam, I would never look at anybody any sort of way ever again. I will be
I know you said me that I'll never be
I'll never be mean. And so I'm on my way. I sit down in the test. Lo and behold, everything I thought I had forgotten was in my head.
Yeah.
Passing grade is 70. I passed well above a 70.
Yeah. I'm one of those people that kind of believe that, like, at least for me, studying, like cramming, 2 or 3 days before an exam is not going to work. If I haven't learned it at that point, I'm not going to learn it from just like reading it over in a book or reading notes. I'm really the kind of person that has to, write it, learn it, hear it, and then absorb it.
But I also believe in science, Jacqueline, because that morning, like around 5:30, we were dog sitting my old dog, Casper, remember?
Oh, yeah.
And I
that vicious little shit is still terrorizing
He's still alive. Yes.
Jeez.
I stepped on his shit.
Oh, God.
And I'll never forget that until I got into the exam room. So this is about an hour and a half of a travel time, right? From my house to the testing station. I was like, oh my God, I stepped in shit. I'm going to pass this test. Lo and behold, I did.
Wow. Casper, good luck.
Thank God. So for everybody who has something to take, step on shit. I'm very superstitious in certain things and I'm not superstitious in other things. I passed this exam, but going back to the point, sorry, we're going off in tangents. You are stuck. You feel very stuck. I couldn't move on from the fucking test for those past 2 days, from Sunday to Tuesday. I was like, oh, that's it. My life is over. I want to quit my job. I actually applied to 50 jobs and they all called me because I didn't want to work there anymore. It is very stressful. So imagine that's puny in comparison to the things that we go through in life. Right?
Yeah.
It's a very puny aspect of it.
Puny when you think about it. I know you think that it's not, but I mean, it's something you prepared for 2 weeks for. Would it end your life? No, but it can help you advance in your career. So it's a high stressful thing. I wouldn't call that puny.
Well, I mean, in comparison to being divorced and left
Yeah,
all
but
alone
that's
and abandoned,
to say.
Jacqueline,
But I mean, like,
if you're going to compare
just
it to
because
that.
it's not as grandiose doesn't mean it's not important or,
Well, the thing is, there
stressful.
was no pressure for me mentally.
Yeah.
I knew, and I kept saying this to my friend, especially to Josie. Hi, Josie. She knew this because he kept saying to her, "It's very hard for me to focus because I don't need this. I'm only doing this because I want to be able to bring home my laptop." This was 4 years in the making, by the way. This is the very last aspect of that licensure.
Yeah.
I could have taken this 4 years ago, but stupid me was like, I don't want to be in a classroom for a month.
Yeah.
Well, welcome to, I had to remember information from 4.5 years ago, apply it to this, plus learn new things. I mean, we're talking 3 semesters worth of information being crammed into your head in 2 weeks.
Well, and I mean,
It
that's
was
kind of
insane.
sometimes we have to do it that way because we're dumb and we think, oh, I don't want to do it. And then later in life, you're like, shit, I should do it. And then I find as an adult, in most cases, you're more focused because you realize how much is kind of on the line now.
Listen,
when you're a
4.5 years ago, I
teenager
was
or
an
young adult, you're like, fuck it, I don't care. Ha 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 ha.
It's true, but that's the thing too, right? Is you really, with age comes wisdom, and with wisdom comes a knowledge that is insurpassable with anything you can learn in a book. Because you have to go through life, and you really have to go through the realities of life for anybody who's struggling with anything right now, whether it be bipolar disorder, whether it be depression, whether it be a substance abuse problem. Do not let this deter you from knowing that you can move on from that. That you don't have to live in that shame of, I used to be a drug dealer, or I used to be a drug addict, or I used to be a drunk. You can move on from that. It's your choice, and you have to get there. Whether you have to hit rock bottom or if someone has to take you to rock bottom for you to realize it, can't predict that for you. But
always light at the end
you
of the
have to
tunnel.
get there. Huh?
Yeah. There's always light at the end of the
Bitch,
tunnel.
I don't follow the light because the last time I followed the light, it led me to Gucci and I overspent my paychecks. Okay, so no.
I want to talk about these stories because these are kind of important stories. So let's get into a couple of updates. I don't know how long we'll talk about it, but the CNN is reporting today that the Justice Department is preparing to drop the Mueller investigation report. That is pretty much ready. It's ready to go out there. We'll see what happens. Now, they're saying that they may delay it because 45 has his big Vietnam meeting with little Rocket Man, and they don't want any diplomatic issues to come up. So I'm a little bit strange. But yeah, I mean, it's been almost 2 years in the making. We're finally going to get this report.
I don't think we're going to get the smoking gun we've all been looking for. Sorry.
I don't think so either. But
I think a lot of people will be indicted. A lot more people will be indicted.
You know what? I mean, I don't think we'll get 45, but I'd love if we got 45 Jr. I'd love it if we got Ivanka.
I would never wish that upon Ivanka and Jared, to be honest with you.
I do, because they're shady as shit.
Agreed, Jacqueline. I'm trying to be godly here because I did promise God to be nice because I passed my test.
You promised not to be nice? You literally just slipped. I promise not to be nice.
Oh, I said I promised to be nice, so I'm trying to be godly here.
But anyway, I'm sure there'll be legal experts and talking heads all over the news talking about this when the report comes out. I can't wait. It should be interesting to see.
I think he'll be guilty of campaign finance issues because people have to remember Mueller's job is not to. I'm trying to remember the way that all the experts have talked about this, especially I love the way Ari Melber has spoken about this. Everybody thinks that Mueller is going to save the day. No, his job is to dig. His job is to find and then to turn over. Now,
we already know that Trump has been involved in, the things that come out from Cohen and from Manafort about lying under testimony, lying to the media, lying to the American people, and, talking about having the business tie-in with his building, his hotel over in Moscow. So we know he's guilty. There's going to be things about Trump being guilty in there, but as we've already know from other experts saying it's very hard to arrest and charge a sitting president. So Yeah,
which is very true. But that's how
I don't
the
think you can
law
be
is
arrested and
made.
charged. You know, there's no perp walk coming.
This presidency will shape what the presidency will be like for generations to come, because we are now going to start to amend laws.
Yes.
To make sure that the president is not as protected as this one is. Because let me just point this out. People have been impeached for less.
Yeah.
For less.
Clinton got impeached for lying about fooling around. And he never even fully boned Monica. He just stuck a cigar in there and got a BJ. Do you know what I mean? And he only lied about that. Two consenting adults.
Two consenting adults.
And it was a lie. You know what I mean? And that's what he was impeached for. People forget that. He wasn't impeached because he fucked her.
He was impeached because he was lying. Yeah. What else did people get in trouble for? George W. Bush, because he had declared war and in quotations illegally went into Iraq, was being tried for oh my God, Jacqueline, you know the term, being tried for in the international courts for
war crimes or torture.
Yes, war crimes. Yes, war crimes.
Yeah. Yeah.
All he did was try to. Now, I'm not defending the man. He can more than defend his actions and his decisions with the war that he caused, or that he's had started. But all he did was try to defend his country, right?
And I don't like to say this because he was president, and ultimately you're responsible for your cabinet and for the people that you surround yourself with. From all the documentaries I've ever seen, it was Cheney who was really pushing for Iraq, and Bush just went along with it. Not to excuse Bush, because like I said, he was in charge. You know, you should be knowledgeable and you should be educated and you should know what's going down before you say, yeah, we're going to go invade Iraq.
We're going to go and do this, yeah. But see, this is the thing. President Donald J. Trump, with the amount of shame, I cannot believe I mentioned his name, with the amount of shame that he has carried in this presidency, most others would be quitting, resigning, hiding.
It's insane. One scandal would have ended anybody else's career. I mean, you talk about, oh God, I can't remember his name. The guy that was in New York and he got caught hooking up with a hooker. Completely consensual, and it was a hooker. This S name. His name was Matt, right?
Oh my God, I know who you're talking about.
His career's over because of that.
Do you know and he was destined to be one of the greatest for us to all know.
And then you've got Trump admittedly paying off porn stars.
Yeah.
Admittedly. That's okay. Admittedly. I don't get how this guy really is. I mean, they should change his name to the Teflon Don because he really is.
I mean, but that's what everybody is calling him. He is the Teflon Don.
Nothing sticks to him. I don't get it. I don't know why.
But also remember that the original Teflon Don also ended up going to jail.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about, you know who.
Don Gotti.
Yeah. He ended up going to jail too. So something will stick. At some point, something will stick.
Let's hope. But so that's coming out. We'll definitely talk about that when that does come out, because I'm sure we'll have
when it comes out.
Yeah.
When?
The next story, I don't think you were here when Arthur and I discussed this, but we talked about the attack on Jussie Smollett. This is the actor who's on the show Empire. He's an out gay man. He's also African American or Black, and the reports had come out that he was coming home from the subway at like 2 a.m. and he was attacked by 2 white men who beat him, poured bleach on him, put a rope around his neck, and said, "This is MAGA country, you N-word, you F-word." Police have been digging, and right away from the start, and I felt so bad saying this, but I said to Arthur, I was like, something doesn't feel right in my gut over this story. And you know me, Ryan, I share when I'm outraged by something, I'll share that on Facebook. I never made one comment about this story because I was like, I'm not getting involved in this because I feel like this is wrong. And so as of today, just like an hour before the show started today, the police are now classifying Jussie Smollett as a suspect for allegedly filing a false police report.
Are you shocked?
No, I'm not at all. I'm okay, here's the thing is, I thought maybe it was a Tinder hookup that went wrong.
You bitch.
Arthur thought maybe drugs. And I was like, okay, that makes sense too. It's even worse than that. He paid two people that he knew to beat him up, I guess just to get attention, because I was reading that he might have been written out of the show. And he thought that this would keep him on the show with sympathy. This guy has ruined his career. He's done. He's done. He doesn't go to jail. He's done.
5 years ago, I would have believed you in that statement. Nowadays, it's very hard for me to believe anybody because we still have a sitting president.
Yeah, it's true. But I mean, nobody is Teflon Don. Like Jussie Smollett is not, 45. Let's face it.
I hope so.
I can't even imagine what would make you think you could get away with that. This is 2019. Like there's CCTV, there's forensic shit. Like they're gonna find that stuff out.
But if you have to do that to save your career,
yeah,
you really have to question
everything. A sex tape, or he should have just said it was a gay Grindr hookup that went wrong, something like that. Like at least then you would have been like, "Oh, we feel bad for you. You're just trying to get laid."
Like that time I had a Grindr hookup and my cell phone was taken away from me.
Someone stole your cell phone?
I never told. Oh, wow, thanks, Jacqueline. I just went on air and embarrassed myself.
I didn't make you. I didn't know that story.
Yes, I did. It happened.
It happens. I mean, this can happen on Tinder. This can happen on Plenty of Fish. It doesn't have to necessarily just because it's, Grinders for gay men. It could happen to anybody when you're meeting up with strangers in public, right? Or
and it happens. And the truth is, it happens everywhere.
Yeah.
There's nothing to be embarrassed about when this happens.
No, but this is oh God, this guy. And like Arthur and I said, I really want it to be true because this is the exact thing that the hateful people, the alt-right, the white supremacists, the Nazis, whatever you want to call them, they're going to use this and say, you see, these libtards are faking these hate crimes. And that's the problem. That's the problem. Because when someone is truly then attacked or hurt or injured, are we going to believe them?
I'm just going to choose not to make comments because I feel like it's really hard and I don't want to encourage.
And did you see any of his interview where he was on like the ABC morning show and he's like crying and he's like, I'm like, oh my God.
Well, but also if you were attacked like that, I think you would probably be in hiding for quite a while. As I would be, honest
yeah.
God, I'd probably be in hiding for quite some time.
It's not looking good. I guess we'll find out as if he gets arrested or he gets charged, what's going on. But not a good move. People don't do this kind of shit for publicity. That's the worst part of it. For publicity, No, I don't like that at all. So, okay, we'll talk about Jussie Smollett as things come along. Let's talk about Bernie Sanders. So this morning, Bernie Sanders announced that he's going to run, yesterday, he announced that he's going to run for president in 2020. Received $6 million yesterday in donations. $6 million in one day is pretty good. I like Bernie Sanders. I think he's a nice guy. I think he has great intentions. I think he really cares about people. I think his supporters are insane. And I think that he's going to muddy the waters and pull some support away from people. And people are going to be mad. If he doesn't win the nomination, they're going to call a fix again. And they're going to, anybody but, Bernie or bust. So
I'm listening to you.
You agree or no? Or what are you doing? You're like going on Grindr.
I'm not going to go on this rant.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go on this rant.
Okay.
I hate Bernie Sanders.
Do you? You hate him?
I hate Bernie Sanders.
Okay.
I think Bernie Sanders is part of the problem.
Yeah.
The whole Bernie or bust thing that they did, he was part of the problem. Okay, that's number one. So no offense to Bernie Sanders. Number two, I think it's concerning, right? Like I'm much more concerned about Bernie Sanders than anything else. I'm concerned. He's old.
He's so divisive. Do you know what I mean? Like he's such a divisive person that it's either going to be you love him or you hate him. He's going to cause a lot of chaos at the polls, you know, in the primaries and the nominations. And oh my gosh, he's going to cause so much chaos.
I just absolutely dislike Bernie Sanders. I really do. I mean that. I own up to it. I hate Bernie Sanders. I think Bernie Sanders was the reason why Hillary Clinton had lost the presidency.
Definitely. My other thing too, which kind of annoys me, is like, you know, Democrats, they don't have any balls. That's why they need to get somebody with some balls out there. No offense to Bernie Sanders, but he's been an independent his entire career. Why was he suddenly allowed to be the Democratic, you know, in the Democratic nomination process to begin with?
Yeah, of course.
You know, like, no, that's not right.
But this is why it's also it's also so upsetting to listen to this, because if Bernie Sanders doesn't get the nomination, I would rather see Kamala Harris get the nomination. You might as well expect for the Democrat to lose, because they're most likely going to lose.
Yeah.
You know,
right at this point, I mean, we'll see how they come out during debates and stuff, but I'm not sure. As much as I like Kamala Harris, you know, and I like Beto and I like Cory Booker, I don't think any of them are the person that can beat 45.
No, they're not going to be enough to beat 45. But also, Bernie Sanders, I would, God, I can't believe I'm going to say this. I'd rather have 45 than have Bernie Sanders as my sitting president.
Oh, I don't know about that. But you know, they're two ends of you know, the two sides of the coin. They're both incredibly chaotic in their own parties. You know what I mean? Like, so they're like, you know, one is left and one is right, but they're, you know, they're almost the same person, except for I don't think Bernie is that filled with hate. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't think he's fueled by hatred.
No,
I think he's to the point where he's so socialist, and I mean, I'm in a socialist country, you know, socialist democratic country, so I like socialism to some degree.
But do you
think he's too socialist for America?
But do you really think, though, that Bernie Sanders would act differently than Donald Trump would act?
Oh, for sure. Like, he's a lifelong politician. He hasn't been carrying on and being crazy while he's been up in, where is he, Vermont or New Hampshire? I mean, he knows how to be a politician. He knows how to run the government. I don't think he would be as what's the word I want to say? Like, just like, you know, like crazy things like, you know, Muslim bans and emergency.
Oh, of course. No, but I mean, like,
emergency declarations so they can get funding for a wall. Do you know what I mean?
What I mean is, if he doesn't get his way, kind of like how
possibly. I mean, if he wants to make university free for everybody or Medicare free for everybody, I write the writ and, you know, sign the proclamation or whatever you do there, and total chaos.
I just wish that we were able to, before this, we were able to find someone who we could have hung on to. Because now at this point, we are ensuring that he will get his second term.
That's the scary thing. That's the scary thing.
I mean,
we're only hope is, now I know there's already been one guy, I don't know his name and I don't know anything about him, but there's already been one guy who said he's going to run against 45 in the primaries. I don't remember his name, and I'm still hoping that John Kasich will run against him. That's the guy who ran last time. And
I love Kasich.
Yeah, because he's very central. You know, even though he's right leaning, he's still centrist. So, I don't know. I guess we'll see. It's all coming. Your election is so long. The process is so long.
A year. I mean, the amount of money. It is a big cash cow.
Yeah.
It is.
Aren't there like? There's laws that they can't be longer than like 3 months or some shit. The whole campaign thing.
As they should be here, to be honest.
Yeah, and then it's done at least. I mean, you know, people are like, "Oh, I'm gonna run when the time comes." They say that, but they can't raise any money yet. And there's all these like laws, so it's really tightly controlled by the government and what people can and can't do when it comes to election time. Anyway, let's go on. We talked ad nauseum about legalization of marijuana in Canada. and how Arthur and I were very pro legalization. But I have a story that I want to share, a little warning, I guess we'll say. Please be careful, people. So we have a 70-year-old man in St. John's, New Brunswick. He has arthritis. He was having a lot of pain. His friend told him to try some marijuana to help, ease the pain. So this is a guy who's not, I guess maybe he's tried it or he's never tried it, but he's definitely not a user, a frequent user. Okay. So he bought a lollipop. And instead of just having a few licks of a 90 milligram lollipop of THC, that's how much was in it, right? Normally a joint would contain about 7 milligrams. He ate the whole lollipop.
Oh my God.
And had terrifying hallucinations of impending doom, crushing chest pain, and literally thought he was dying. And he did have a heart attack. He was having a heart attack brought on by, this crazy OD of marijuana lollipops. So when you're doing an edible, people, please follow the packaging, ask somebody for an expert for help, talk to your doctor before you try marijuana, especially if you're 70 years old. Jeez Louise. But he was treated. The effects wore off. His chest pain stopped. And he's okay. So.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, that would be scary.
I'm just holding it in. I'm holding it in.
That's so nice of you, Ryan.
I try to be a decent person nowadays. Try.
Yes. Oh, and I have one more update I want to talk about. I saw it on my list of things. We talked previously about this girl. Her name is Michelle Carter. She's the girlfriend of the boy who killed himself. She was on the phone texting him and telling him to do it. Hurry up and do it. Kill yourself. Kill yourself. And even when he kind of said, I don't want to do it, she's like, no, you got to do it. Don't be a wuss, basically. So she had been found guilty of involuntary manslaughter. And she'd obviously gone to the Supreme Judicial Court and tried to get a stay and change her sentence and all this stuff. Well, she's been denied. She's got to start serving her sentence. She's going to get 15 months in jail. 2 months after
she deserves it.
Yeah. She does. I mean, maybe even longer, but 15 months, at least it's something.
You think she deserves it?
Yeah, I do. I think she deserves longer.
Okay.
Because it wasn't just when Ryan says something like, oh, go die in a fire to somebody. Do you know what I mean? It's not just like a casual saying. She sent him not one or two, but dozens of messages over a 2-week period encouraging him to kill himself. And then on the night when he was going to do it, he's like, I can't do it. She's like, do it. Because he said he was scared. She said, get back in the car.
I'm typically very pro the victim. Yeah. Most of the time I am understanding of the victim. I have very mixed feelings about this, because if you felt the need to kill yourself after somebody had kept telling you to kill yourself, then I really, I don't know. It's hard for me to explain, because I don't think it's quite fair.
Well, here's the thing. This guy had mental illness and depression for many years.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes when you really want to kill yourself, you're going to do it. I know sometimes people do cry for help, where it's just kind of like a practice run to get some attention and get some help, because they can't say those words physically. But when he sent her a message and said, I'm scared, I got out of the car, and she's telling him, get back in, that's a problem. So, hopefully she learned a lesson.
I hope she does. I understand kind of how tough this is for someone, especially the family of the victim.
Yeah.
But it is easier at times for us to kind of point the finger
blame
at someone.
Somebody.
Yeah, instead of kind of finding that reaning.
Which is why I guess she got involuntary manslaughter and got 15 months instead of an actual manslaughter, right?
I don't think it's fair for us to put her in a murder trial.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I hope it doesn't sound insensitive.
But at what point do you think that she doesn't? Do you think she has no guilt or responsibility in his death whatsoever?
I think she has responsibility. And I think maybe 15 months of involuntary manslaughter should be enough.
Okay.
But if you ask me anything higher than that, You know what I'm saying? It's almost
Well,
as if.
that's the case of we had a girl here in Vancouver, in Canada,
Mhm, mhm,
and when she was like maybe 14, I want to say, she'd met somebody online and they had a flirty relationship and he said, show me your boobs, and she flashed her boobs. And
mhm.
after that it went really bad. And he started asking for more and more videos. And he said, if you don't do it, I'm going to tell everybody. And she stood up to him. She said, no. Well, he released the picture to her school friends. He found her through Facebook, released it to Facebook, released it to her family. She was bullied at school. She moved schools. He released it to the next school. And it became too much for her. And he was really constantly harassing her. And she ended up killing herself. And they tracked him down to Netherlands and they charged him. He was charged and he
See,
went to
that's a
jail.
little bit. That's a little bit different, right?
Yeah.
Like that's really different because that's harassment. But
Yeah.
what I'm, you get what I'm saying? Like what
Yeah, but we
I'm.
don't know how much she was, because I mean, we can only go by texts and emails from the
That's
evidence that
true.
we have.
Mhm.
Who knows how much private conversations they had?
That's very true. See, that's the other aspect of it as well.
Yeah.
It's just for me. I think there is a level
Yeah.
where I don't quite think like that's if I had lent you a gun
Yeah.
and you shot and killed someone, and then I'm being treated as an accomplice to a murder. I lent you a
Yeah.
gun. I didn't know you were going
But
to shoot
there's
someone
a
with it.
difference, because if I said I'm going to borrow this gun to shoot somebody, and then I say, "Oh, I'm scared," and you say, "No, get back in there and kill him,"
That's a little bit different. Yeah.
which is what she said to himself. Anyway, I mean, she's gone to jail. We talked about her. I guess. I hope she learned a lesson. And
I hope she does. I also hope that this again also proves a point. I
yeah,
think laws need to be a little bit tougher where we can charge them with another crime of
yeah,
harassment. Right?
yeah.
Because harassment is so wishy
But
washy
people need to
nowadays.
learn. Like, don't do this kind of shit. Like, if you don't want to help somebody, be like, I don't want to hear about it. Move on with your life. Okay,
Mhm.
that's fine. You don't want to get involved in somebody who's suicidal or depressed, and you don't have time for it. Fine. Nobody can make you have compassion or empathy. Right? It's another thing to actively encourage somebody.
Encourage someone to kill themselves or to take drugs or something.
Yeah.
You are somewhat an accomplice to that. Now, should I think you should be held? My explanation is this. Do I think you should be held reliable for someone's actions? Not necessarily. But you should also have the common sense not to encourage that,
Yes.
right?
Yes. Exactly.
I just don't know quite what the in between of it is.
Yeah.
This is why I'm so confused about it. I'm so conflicted by it.
Yeah.
Because then I go all the way back to, if then that's the case, we then contribute to people like what's the guy that ate all those guys after he picked them up from the gay bar?
Dahmer.
Jeffrey Dahmer. Then his parents freaking
Yeah.
encouraged it. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like, why
Yeah.
aren't they being held responsible for involuntary manslaughter? You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
that's my whole thing. You're really trudging the line here. I don't care if you grow up to be a piece of shit or a murderer. Keyword, there you go. You got to go to
Yeah.
jail too.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So my whole thing is, when does it? Now I'm not being completely all about freedom of expression and freedom of speech, but then how come we don't hold certain people accountable? People like Nicki Minaj who talk about "I'm gonna kill that bitch" on their rap songs. Why not put you in involuntary manslaughter? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
there's a fine line. There has to be a fine line, and we have to define those lines shortly, because this can ultimately really kind of set a precedence for crimes to happen in the future. Now I'm saying I don't want more to happen, but you know what I mean? Because in my head, I'm thinking now the chain of events goes even deeper. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I don't know if I'm not making sense. If I'm
No,
not
you
making
make
sense,
sense. You make sense. And I mean, we are seeing a level sometimes, like when kids vandalize or they're out late and they steal a car, and then the parents are held responsible. Right? So yeah, you're kind of right.
That's all I wanted to say. I'm a beautiful woman. Thank you.
You are. Have you ever thought about your obituary and what you would want it to say?
Yes.
Do you know what you would want it to say?
Here lay this young 2-year-old woman. Picture of me as a fetus. I will lie about my age until the day I die. My weight will be minus 100 pounds because I would be embalmed. I would be made to look lengthened in my coffin or my casket as well. I want it to be at least 15,000 words.
Okay.
All right. I want it to at least be on yahoo.com, the front page.
Okay. Well,
mhm.
would you want it to be like really emotional and sad or funny or just like matter of fact?
No, I want them to tell my whole story, but of course, edited,
Yeah.
not all of it. Just
Like they
the
don't know
parts
by
that
the
I
time you
want.
lost your phone to Grindr hookup.
You bitch. Yes, of course. Yes, I don't want them to know about that. You are not uploading this podcast, clearly.
Well, we had a lady pass away at the beginning of February. A young woman, I'll call her.
Do you know her?
Sybil
Okay.
Marie Hicks. She died here in Ontario, but she wrote her own obituary, and it made headlines across Canada because it's great. So she says, it hurts to admit it, but I, Mrs. Ron Hicks, have passed away. I passed away peacefully with my eldest daughter, Brenda. So obviously her daughter added some of the stuff in. But she talks about how she's leaving behind her husband, whom she affectionately refers to as, quote, horse's ass. She talks about her kids and how, this one was considered the favorite and how this one was Little Miss Perfect, right? But the best part, and I thought you would appreciate this because I thought it was so funny. She says, I finally have the smoking hot body I've always wanted, having been cremated.
Oh my God. I love
I know.
that.
Is that not fantastic?
I love that. That's everything to me. Yeah. You know that, right? Like, that is everything to me.
Yeah, because, and obviously she was sick and she was dying at the end. She was aware she would be dying. So she must have wrote a brief outline of what she wanted in there and some of the jokes, and then her kids just kind of filled in the details here and there. Mm-hmm. But, yeah, I mean, if you can't laugh, even at the end.
That's what I was going to say. If mine really would be funny. Towards the very, very end of it, I want people to laugh. I want people to remember me. I've said this to you before. Jacqueline and I have known each other for years, ever since 1892, right? Yeah. 1891, 1892.
Give or take a year. Yeah.
Give or take, maybe even 10. Jacqueline I've known for a while. I've always said this to Jacqueline. Honest to God, I do. I have an outlined will. I have an outlined idea of what I want to happen when I die. Even if I die today, it's there. And someone precious and dear to my heart holds this. I want it very simply. I don't want to wake. Don't want visitations. I want to be burnt then and there if it's possible.
Yeah.
I really do.
Always wanted to be cremated for many, many years because I just thought it has nothing to do with like, my body's rotting away or any of that stuff. It just really was kind of like, we don't got a lot of room in cemeteries, stuff like that. But I'm really kind of into these natural burials where they like, bury you in like a sack and then like a tree grows out of your body remains afterwards, and I think that's kind of a beautiful thing.
I'm not. No.
I don't need my body after. So take out my organs, donate what's viable for people, and then stick me in a sack and put a tree on top of me.
No. I would like to be kept as I don't know, like
Eva Peron, like were they like, mummified?
No, I want to be burned. I don't want to have to occupy more space. I do believe in that. I don't want to have to occupy more space.
No, would you want to keep your ashes or to like scatter them into the winds?
Oh my God, I'm very poetic. I'm dramatic as hell. I want like the love of my life. If I have one there, I am never going to have a love of my life.
With your ashes?
No, bitch. I want him to be on a boat all alone. Like he rents a yacht or something.
Okay.
And he's just like, to my last love. Whispering that, and he just, my remains, but of course to a fabulous lead.
I'll never love again. And
yes! And then,
oh my God. And then playing in the background is I've Been to Paradise, but I've never been to me.
Charlene,
Yeah.
that's our song. That's our song,
Yes.
exactly.
Yes.
That's what I want. And then also, like, I know I don't want a visitation, but I do want to be at least photographed. This is going to be my skinniest. So I want them to like really liposuction everything, change the shape of my face, make all of my plastic surgery dreams come true.
Why don't they just like glue a mask on your face and be like, look, it's I don't know who's like super beautiful to you. Young Whitney Houston? I don't know.
No, I don't think she was that beautiful.
She
Super
was
beautiful.
beautiful.
I'm the most beautiful woman in the world, but I just want to be remembered. All jokes aside, I just want to be remembered as someone who affected somebody else's life in a
Yeah.
positive way. You know what I mean? I don't want you to walk out of, I don't know, remembrance thing or an event thing of my death thinking about the like how sad you are. Why do you laugh? I made you laugh my whole life when I was alive. You're gonna laugh my last phases too. You know?
I'm torn because I love like a good sad story and I love to cry over a sad song or a sad movie. So you kind of want it to be like super dramatic where people are crying and hugging and flinging themselves onto your coffin. But on the other hand, I just kind of want it to be fun. I don't like when people get drunk at funerals. So I'm going to be like, no alcohol allowed. Which
it's going to be dry.
Nobody in Scott's family will show up.
Although I also want them to be fashionable. Jacqueline, I already told you the rule for my thing. Everybody's in gowns. Everybody's in tuxes.
I
want real
like
diamonds.
Dynasty outfit.
Yes,
like
a big hair.
Somebody at your funeral?
Yes, you should. I told you were going to fight someone. I'm going to hire someone to show up there.
And remember we talked about professional funeral criers?
Oh my God, $5,000 if you want him to jump in the hole with you. If you could do that to me as my last dying wish, I would love you forever.
I would do it, but I'd be scared I couldn't get out, so I'll just like crawl by the.
No, don't do that, Jacqueline. You are above that. Like, just push Ava down. You know, push her down.
She wants to be with you forever. You were over his favorite.
Well, she's the only one for now. She's the only one. But yeah, no, I don't want an elaborate thing.
You know that little. I don't want to call her a bitch because I don't know her, but you know that little thing will try to steal all your freaking thunder at your own funeral.
Oh, of course. I already know that she will. And I know the first thing she's going to do is go through my bags. So I'm very worried about my treasures that I have amassed throughout the years. I'm quite worried.
So funny. Now, do you have things that you need to get rid of? Okay, so now obviously if you die suddenly, nothing can be done and people are going to find all your embarrassing things. But say you were like, you were having a long dramatic, illness like Sweet November, or Autumn in New York or something.
What was in Sweet November?
You never saw that movie?
No, but what did she have? Did she have cancer?
Yeah, and she's like dying, right? Yeah. And so like would you like make sure there was like, no embarrassing toys or videos or
I don't have any of those. I don't have any of those. No one will ever have access. The first thing is you have to get rid of my computers and my electronics. I don't want that to ever be accessed.
Smash that shit, burn it in a barrel.
Okay. I don't want it accessed. There's too much there. But like my journals and stuff, my books, I do want that to be read. I want finally. I'm being a little serious here, right? In a weird way. But the first time I've really thought about this.
Yeah.
I would want for that to be made public. I really, for the first time, I want people to understand how I really felt, how I really feel, because I think for the longest time in my life, I've had to censor a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
Due to family or whatever it is. It would be the first time I want people to read it out loud, except for extremely private things in
of course.
My phone and stuff, which are mainly sex videos of me doing it to others. But I wouldn't. The physical stuff, like the books and the journals that I have. Yeah, I want people to know. People who have been in my life, I want them to really fully know things that they may have never known.
Yeah. That's good.
I have no fear of that.
I do every couple of years. I write a letter for my kids and Scott. you know, just because you never know.
Because you're a dramatic ass
Right.
bitch.
And I do. I like to be dramatic. And yeah, I just write them a little letter and I let them read it at the time and then we put it away. And, you know, they have that to look back and say, you know, mom was a, you know,
I hide stuff. Like I have letters. I open a letter every year now that I wrote to myself from the year prior, and I don't remember what's in it. And I read it, and I just, yeah, it's nice.
nice.
That's nice.
Nice. Okay, well, that's the end of the show. Thanks for listening. I guess
Yeah,
we'll be back on Monday, you know, God willing.
God willing. I bet I haven't died yet.
Yeah. But yeah, and we'll be watching the news and seeing what's happening with all these scandalous stories. I didn't even get to the real scandalous story about Tristan Thompson cheating on Chloe with Kylie's best friend. Like that is
Oh
so
my
trashy.
God.
I
If
don't even like
that
those
is
people, but that's the kind of shitty, trashy
if
story I love
that's
about.
true, that's really crazy. Like, I mean, you
Yeah.
can't trust anybody after that.
Nope.
Oh my God.
Okay, so thanks for listening and have a good week. Bye.